In January, I attended a school reunion. More than 30 years had passed, and we all departed into different educational and vocational paths. And after a glass of wine or two, we were wondering whether we had been very rebellious teenagers at the time. I want to invite you to picture yourself as a teenager. Did you question each and every rule that your parents set for you? Did you talk back to them? Let me see by show of hands, who of you thought you were a rebellious teenager who had figured it all out and knew so much better than any of the adults around you? Wow. Thank you for sharing. Now, let me take back to when I was 15. It was 1989. We lived in East Berlin, and our world turned around within months. The Berlin Wall fell. A peaceful revolution had ended an authoritarian regime. And in this context, did we take pride in talking back to our parents? Did we negotiate curfews with them? No. We had bigger fish to fry. An entire system collapsed before our eyes, not just in East Germany, but also in Central and Eastern Europe. It kicked off a period of excitement and uncertainty, of discovery and unlearning, of an abundance of opportunities and an identity crisis. We needed to reinvent ourselves. Now, as a young person, I was much more interested in the many doors that opened than in the realities that people in the generation maybe of my parents and grandparents faced. Loss of jobs, loss of property, loss of convictions, and for some maybe even loss of purpose in the new life. But we were young and determined to seize the moment. With the transformation and German unification came democracy, and we started practicing right away. Speaking your mind freely at any time and any place was new and exciting. Attending a demonstration without fear of being taken into custody was also new and exciting. Elections, where you had the choice from a range of parties with truly different agendas, and election results that actually mirrored the votes of people, was new and exciting. All of this, I think, resulted in a lot of first times for East Germans. We had to learn a ton of new things, but maybe more importantly, unlearn an equal amount, often struggling with letting go of what we had internalized as truths. Today, 35 years later, I lead the democracy team at the Robert Bosch Foundation. What a journey. Now, let's focus or zoom in on Robert Bosch for a moment. He was, as you all know, a very successful businessman. He was creative, he was an innovator, and he deeply cared about people. One of his basic principles was be human and respect human dignity. Apart from his entrepreneurial successes and activities, there were other drivers in his life that were very important to him. Peace, good healthcare, access to education, and liberal democracy. Robert Bosch was a very unusual philanthropist. He stated in his will that the profits of his company are to also benefit the public. And here we are. The charitable foundation that carries his name owns 94% of the company. 94%. This year, we celebrate 60 years. So, join me in saying happy anniversary, Robert Bosch Foundation. Robert Bosch, with great foresight, did not leave us with rigid guidelines, but rather a mandate to constantly review and rethink our work. And this is important to meet the challenges of the time. And when I think back to my teenage years, it was precisely that. Understand the challenges and the transformations of the time. Learn, but maybe more importantly, unlearn, review, adapt, and repeat. Now, unlearning is not just, or it's equally important in the business world. Just doing things because they've always been done in a certain way won't lead to innovation. And in this respect, too, the foundation is really, truly committed to the legacy of Robert Bosch. We work in 3 areas: health, education, and global issues. Global issues is comprised of 6 broader topics: peace, climate change, migration, inclusive societies, inequality, and democracy. And my team is deeply committed to people's engagement and participation in shaping the world around them. We strengthen civil society, we work towards a productive culture of debate, as well as societal and political inclusion. Big ambitions, I know. And maybe you wonder, what does this actually look like in practice? Let me give you 2 very concrete examples. One is a project that is called Business Council for Democracy. It's a joint initiative by the Hertie Foundation, the Institute of Strategic Dialogue, and us, the Robert Bosch Foundation. It's an offer of training courses where employees can learn about the spread of hate speech, strategic misinformation, conspiracy narratives. And what's important is they learn all of this at their workplace. Up until now, more than 140 companies have signed up for the program in Germany. Bosch, Nokia, Lufthansa, VW, just to name a few. Another example, and this is a much more international example, is our project Common Ground, in which we strengthen cross-border participation of people shaping, developing, and designing their border regions. So it's neighbors in Germany and adjacent countries who get together, who debate, who develop ideas. And here too, it's important to learn, but also to unlearn in order to find that very common ground. For me, it was always very important to have a meaningful, purposeful job, and I was very grateful that I joined the some 170 colleagues at the Robert Bosch Foundation last year. For us at the Foundation, it is very important to work towards fulfilling Robert Bosch's legacy, and this has to do with his dual legacy, both as an entrepreneur and a philanthropist. It's this dual legacy of using hard-earned money to give back to society that is a great driver for us to do our jobs exceptionally well. But of course, it's not just us at the Foundation, but all of you at the company too. I think it's a call for all of us to really live up to Bosch's basic principle of be human and respect human dignity. Because that's a driver that shapes how we live together, how we work together, and ultimately how we handle challenges. And no matter how the world develops, if I think back to my teenage years, I think it was precisely that. Understand the challenges of the time, learn and unlearn, and then you can master any transformation. Now, was it likely that a young woman who grew up under communist rule would connect to Robert Bosch's ideas for a better world? Certainly not. But here I am, and this is what my life taught me. Embrace the unexpected. Thank you.